Testing.
I'd like to call the June 6, 2024 Utility Advisory Commission regular meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So for roll call today, we have a quorum, and we also have two new commissioners, Commissioner Chris Jackson and Commissioner Russell Wohler. We'd like to welcome you to our commission, the Utilities Advisory Commission. Then we move on to presentation. We have a presentation number 1, Electric Master Plan. Oh, sorry, I did forget one thing. No public comment comes next.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. So in the previous UAC meeting, we had Kiewit. They were supposed to be here for the presentation, but since we canceled it, I'll do my best to do the presentation by myself. Just as a background, in 2006, the city retained Mears Engineering out of Texas to do a master plan in anticipation for the intermodal. So they concentrated mainly on distribution and the substations. For this master plan, I included generation, distribution, and also the substations. So the purpose of the master plan was to update the old 2006, taking in consideration 3 areas: load forecast, regulation compliance, condition of generating assets. We have 2 gas turbines, generation expansion planning, transmission, substation, distribution planning, and capital improvement program. So Kiewit the approach was using a third-party perspective, use our institutional knowledge. They came to site to look at the different assets we have. They performed that analysis, and there was a collaborated effort and work product intended as a roadmap for management team and successors. So the idea was to have a roadmap for the future. I planning to retire hopefully within a year or 2. So I wanted to leave something for the city that we would have a roadmap for the future. That was also the intent. So on the load forecast, we supply Kiewit with information from the past 5 years, and they came up with 3 cases: a base case, a high case, and a low case. looking at the base case, they're anticipating a 1.6% per year on peak demand and energy, with a probability of greater than 50%. The high case, they're estimating a 2.6 per year on peak demand and energy, with a probability of less than 25%. And the low case is a 1.16% on peak demand and energy, and a probability of less 75%. Another reason for the master plan was in 2026, one of our PPAs with Grand River Dam Authority will expire. And we purchased 9 megawatts from them on a 24/7 basis. So the base case load forecast, you will see in the middle is a peak of 46.8. That's megawatts. That was the peak last year. So they normalized the curve, and they're expecting a peak by 2040 of 54.2 megawatts. The existing infrastructure has capacity for 105 megawatts. So infrastructure-wise, we're in good shape. On the high-low forecast, they anticipate a peak demand of 63.6 by 2040 and a energy of around under 250,000 megawatt hours. And on the low side, they're anticipating 50.9 by 2040 with a energy forecast of under 200,000 megawatt hours.
How much was that last one? Did you say 200?
Under 200 will be more like a 190,000. So to compare those numbers, last year our energy usage was 164. So they're projecting something above that, what we did last year. Any questions on the 3 graphs?
So according to these graphs, we're already good through 2040.
That's as far as
Projection.
we're good as far as infrastructure, yes.
Infrastructure, but not necessarily the amount of energy we're getting.
Correct.
Okay.
Because right now we have with 9 megawatts from GRDA, we have 21 from Dogwood, that's 30. Then we have 26 from the gas turbines, that's 26, that's 56. So we have right now a capacity, that's actual megawatts, of 56. So if you go to the previous ones,
But when does the first one expire?
so GRDA PPA expires in 2026.
2 years.
So we have 56 megawatts of capacity. So if we look at the base, they're projecting 50.9. So we're good on the low end. On the high end, they're expecting 63.6. So we'll be 7 megawatts short. And on the base, we'll be close to over capacity.
So we have to try to figure out where we're going to get the extra energy.
Correct. Any other questions on the graphs? Then I also, part of the master plan, we asked if there any regulatory compliance in the future that may impact our generation or the way we do our day-to-day electric utility. And the bottom line is no, there's nothing coming in the future that will impact our current way we operate. What they recommended was to look at some standards, NERC standards, that can be applied to generation and distribution. On the environmental, they didn't see any issue with the operating permit for the gas turbines. Any questions? So we're here, condition of generating assets. As mentioned before, we have 2 gas turbines. They were purchased, they were installed in 1990. They were refurbished or upgraded in 2002 and 2003. After the major overhaul in 2003 and 2004, we have hardly run those units. So basically, we use them for peak reserve or whenever the system needs them. So what they had found, looking at our history, right now we have a gas restriction on both gas turbines. We did an upgrade in 2022, and the gas valve that was installed appears to be too small. So we're kind of choking the gas, natural gas going to the gas turbine. So instead of being able to generate 50 megawatts or 16, we're limited at 13. So that's something they identified, that we knew about it. Then on Unit 2, we had a repair on the 9-stage hook fit. We don't have the same problem in Unit 1, but they're recommending doing the same repair by 2025. And right now, during the summer months, our loophole temperatures go above our alarm point, and we cannot control the loophole temperatures. So they're recommending installing some additional coolers so we're able to run the units during the summer. They're also recommending upgrading Unit 2 to an R model. Unit 2 is a LA model. So they say you can go to an R model and get an additional 2.3 megawatts. And Unit 1 was upgraded to an M prime model, and they're recommending upgrading to an R by summer 2028. So if we do the upgrade, we'll be getting 3.7 megawatts capacity. Any questions? So we have the GRDA contract that expires in 2026. So what options do we have besides renewing the contract? One is buying paper capacity. That's another PPA. It can be through GRDA or a different utility. You can put a 9 megawatt AC solar facility with a 4 megawatt battery backup. The price tag of that is $4.5 million. The other option is just do a 9 megawatt solar facility, that's 16.3. Go to a smaller scale, 5 megawatts, that's 10.5 million. Then put in a 9 megawatt, basically solar battery backup, that's 17.8 million. Do a smaller scale, 4 megawatts, 8.2 million. Then replacing the gas turbines with a solar Titan, which has the same footprint as our existing turbines. That's about $44.4 million. And the last one was buy a refurbished 40 megawatt gas turbine for about $36 to $40 million. Any questions?
On the solar panels, are you talking like doing like a solar farm or putting?
Correct.
Okay, so like getting an area of property and putting solar panels.
Will require 9 times 5 of 40 acres.
40 acres.
45.
And
So-
is the purchase of that part of the 16.3 million if we have to purchase property?
No, it's not. This is just the actual panels, construction, installation. They also did a demand side management, so you can put, for example, devices at the homes that will cut you off when you have a peak hour, so you can save energy. And what they concluded was you will have to spend, for every dollar you spend, you only get 26% back, or 26 cents back. So they're not recommending installing a demand side management at the homes.
I wouldn't want that for our townspeople either.
But that usually comes that you get a lower energy rate, but then you're kind of penalized during the peak hours. So they don't recommend doing that. So over here is the recommendation, looking at different technologies. And they're proposing refurbishing unit 1 and 2 so we can get an additional 3.7 megawatts. They're recommending the GRDA contract to expire in 2026, so that they're and replacing that with a 9 megawatt AC solar facility by 2030. And then they don't anticipate any additional capacity until 2035. The alternate plan is refurbish 1 and 2, allow the GRDA contract to expire in 2026, install a 9 megawatt solar facility, and put out 4 megawatt battery backup by 2035. That will extend the capacity to 2038, 2039. Any questions?
Not a question, but did they look, what about instead of like a big old solar farm, utilizing like this building, some of, working with some of the other businesses that have flat roofs and stuff, and you can install solar panels on the top there where it won't be an eyesore for people, but it can still help generate power.
Yeah, you're talking about 40 acres, 45 acres.
No, I know, I'm not saying we're not gonna get the 40 acres, but that could be something to help it. It would help with power, but it wouldn't look as,
I think that question was raised by Councilman Shute, and I don't have the answer, but I will try to get it from Kiewit.
okay, cause it's like, we got a lot of rooftops and stuff we could use, because I know there was talk of a solar farm west of here, and a lot of people hated that, and there was a big fight to stop that, so I think it'd be hard to get a big acre solar farm. I understand the need for it, I'm just looking at what's happened in the past and recommendations and stuff. I don't know the answers, I'm just throwing out ideas.
But a typical rooftop is about 1,500 square feet.
But we got like this building, you got Price Chopper, the other building next to Price Chopper. I mean, in working with businesses to utilize those rooftops is just, I'm throwing jello to see if it sticks, basically.
Where
But
was
if
it?
Councilman Shute had the same idea, then, if it was brought up, then cool, I understand. It's not perfect.
I was going to say something, I forgot. Solar. The solar farm that we're proposing by Nexera, that's 500 megawatts. So that's a lot of land versus the 45 we're proposing. But this is just a recommendation. We have not taken any action which way to proceed. So over here is a comparison of the different alternatives And if you go get a PPA from the SPP market, it's about $355 per kilowatt year. The GRDA PPA is the most expensive. Then the two upgrades of CT1 and CT2 are pretty reasonable to get 3.7 megawatts. The Titan turbine is 261, the battery 199, the solar 122, and the solar battery backup 122, and the solar facility 125. Any questions? On the transmission substation distribution, they recommended the following. Implement a routine comprehensive inspection program for all transmission structures, including aerial and thermal imagery. So we started that program last year. We inspected all the transmission lines. We're awaiting the report to see if we have any issue with the existing structures. On the substations, they're recommending upgrading T2 and sub 1 to 38 megawatts. That's an ongoing project already. We're working on that. And on sub 4, they're suggesting or recommending buying a second transformer for sub 4 by 2035. Then recommend transferring the loads between T4, T5, from T4 to T5 and T3. So right now T5 is the least loaded transformer and also T3. So by transferring load from one transformer to two transformers, we were able to delay the upgrade of T4. Then also recommending buying land for sub 5, somewhere around 199th Street and Moonlight. Any questions?
No.
It's just a summary of what we just discussed on the different options. And I think there's sorry, I thought there was a graph with the different options. But on the, they're also recommending, due to the lead time on the electric equipment, to start the procurement for the transformer for sub 4, the breakers, control enclosures, the engineering, and the balance of the sub 4. We're already working on sub 4. So we're a little ahead of this recommendation. And then the land acquisition for sub 5 by 2029. They believe the price of land will go pretty high if we don't buy it sooner.
Is there a dollar amount there? Because we can't see it.
Excuse me?
The land acquisition, we can't see the dollar amount.
Land acquisition, $560,000.
How much?
$560,000.
560,000.
By comparison, sub 4, we purchased it for about $250,000.
Yeah, land's going up. Yeah, so if we can get it, well, it's cheaper.
Oh, I know, because of the PIP, picture in picture. I'm sorry. And basically, those are the recommendations. I will try to put some game plan on how to attack the different recommendations.
So when you say attack, you mean financially?
Put a plan of what option, based on the different options, which one do we feel are the most doable.
But financially, how will this be accomplished?
That will have, more than likely, when I have to issue debt to do those improvements. Right now, the fund balance is pretty healthy, but not for long, especially with the substation 4. Any questions on the master
So you
plan?
don't anticipate an increase in monthly electric bills?
Oh, more than likely.
Oh, in addition to the bond issue?
We're gonna have to issue bonds, but we have to raise the rate so we can pay the debt. We're working with KME8 on the electric rate study. I'm hoping to have something by July, August. And those projects are already in the CIP are included in the rate study. So that will tell us what is how much increase in rates are needed.
Okay.
So we're working on that also.
We'll just have to wait and see next month.
Any questions?
For the battery backup section of that system, assuming there's probably gonna have to be infrastructure put in place to store those, because they won't be able to most likely be out of the elements, I'm assuming.
They're the ones I've seen is look like a container, and the batteries are inside the containers. And they're high-tech batteries.
Because some of them that I've seen throughout commercial construction with battery backups, they typically need to be in climate controlled, like cooled.
That's probably a true statement, especially in Kansas during the summer. Because the battery life goes pretty short when your temperature goes up. Your life goes down. So the cooler the space of the ambient, you're gonna get a longer life on the batteries.
So the other assumption I would make is that type of facility isn't included in those numbers.
I couldn't tell you, but if it's something standard, it probably is included.
Okay.
So any other questions? I need to go and change the presentations.
While you're doing that, we'll move on to public comments. We would entertain any public comments at this time. Seeing as there's no one present, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member for study. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. Are there any items any members of the commission would like removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve. I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Plan, seconded by Commissioner Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to old business. Seeing as there's no old business today, we'll move on to new business. Item number 1 under new business is to consider a recommendation to the City Council the purchase of a 2024 compact excavator for the electric distribution department.
So currently, the electric distribution has a 2007 Hitachi compact excavator. And we basically do most of the installation, and on the Grata property or Prairie Trace, we did all the installation, including conduits, digging, and a lot of other activities. So that excavator is pretty much worn out. So we put in the budget to buy a new one. As part of the purchasing process, we requested three bids. We received one from Coleman Equipment, Casey Bobcat, and Folly Equipment. The Coleman Equipment was $63,111.08. Casey Bobcat, $68,237.96. And Folly Equipment was $68,008.08. So we look at the different bids, the equipment, and the department is recommending the Coleman Equipment for $63,111.08.
Do we have a presentation of those numbers?
There they are.
Are there any questions for staff?
I don't think I have any. All three of them seem pretty even. 2-year warranty. A little bit different on amenities, but.
Seeing as there's no questions, can I get a motion?
I motion to approve for the Coleman. I recommend for the city council to accept the bid from Coleman Equipment for 2024 compact excavator and authorize the city administrator to execute the contract for the purchase amount of $111.08 plus insurance and shipping charges. Final pricing and applicable programs will be established at delivery.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion made by Commissioner Plumman, seconded by Commissioner Wohler. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Now we'll move on to discussion items. Number 1, APPA reliability report.
So on the previous meeting, I think we're looking at the, I forgot. When, I think it was February because we didn't have a January meeting. So if you look at the 2023 numbers, I noticed that the my fee and the side fee that we had, the actual targets were like 0.001, and the side fee was similar. So I mentioned that we probably need to go back and reestablish new targets. So every year, the APPA send a nationwide statistics with over, I'll probably say 200 different utilities. And for the MIFI, it ranges between 0.9 and 0.4. Based on that number, I determined middle ground and decided to put a 0.5. And the SIFI very similar. It goes to, I think, 1.1 to 0.4. So I chose a target of 0.7 or less, which is right in the middle of the two extremes.
And that's an average of the numbers they sent to you, right?
That is, you can call it an average
It was like in the middle.
in the middle. So the other thing that we discussed on the previous meeting was that for 2023, our MIFI was 6.391. We're the highest of all the 200 utilities. The highest was like 2.4, and the lowest was like 0.2, 0.3. So I approached APPA and explained that for the new commissioners, we installed smart meters back in 2022, 2021. So when you have a blink on a circuit or a feeder, what should happen is the meters on that feeder will blink, will report an outage, and then 3-5 seconds, they're back to normal. What is happening is, if we had a blink on circuit 21, the meters on circuit, let's say 22, 31, 32, are also seeing the outage. And there's no electrical explanation for that. So that's driving the number way, way too high. Those are momentary interruptions. So APPA, the manager, we exchanged emails, and she suggested not reporting those blinks that are not associated with that circuit, because that's inflating the number.
I had a feeling it was something.
And there's
How do
nothing
you
we can
report
actually.
that? I mean, how would you gather that information?
So we get the information from EcoOne.
Okay.
So EcoOne will give you how many meters were in circuit, let's say 22, which was the blink. And then anything that is not on circuit 22, not to report it. So they'll give you a true outage on the meters that were impacted by lightning or a fault. So hopefully that number will be lower. Any questions on that? Then for May, our SIDE, which is your system average interruption duration, was 0 minutes. The CAIDI, which is your customer average interruption duration, was 54. The ASAI is your average service availability index. Anything greater than 99.9 is good. Then we discussed the MIFI. We have 0 for May. The SIFI, which is your system average interruption frequency, 0.0113%. Year to date, our SIDE is 4 minutes, CAIDI 25, the ASI is 99.99. The MIFI so far is 0.0125 and the SIFI 0.179%. Year to date, we had 1,703 meters impacted our customers, and our interruptions per miles is 11.29. Any questions?
I just noticed the target number on this SIDE and KIDE,
Mm-hmm.
90 minutes and 100 minutes. That seems really high for a target.
Again, so I look at the maximum of the utilities, and it was like 150, I believe. So I guess I chose middle ground. The same with the SIDE. It was greater than 90. And the targets, if we do better, the idea of the target is to lower the target as you get better. So you have a tighter control.
We're only 5 months in, so.
Yeah, but there's such a huge discrepancy. I mean, a good discrepancy.
And for the new commissioners, there's additional information on the reliability indexes that I will send to your email so you can get a little familiar. There's a lot of math, but it's good information. Any questions? Project updates, we started the replacing Circuit 31 overhead lines. The line goes from Moonlight along the railroad track all the way to, what's the name of this street? The Kramer Building. Right now it's Clear Wave. So it's about, I think, 1 mile, 2 miles of line. So we just installed the new poles, as you can see on the pictures. And we'll start stringing the new cables, and hopefully be done by next month. I believe that line or that district feeder was over 50 years old, if not more. So we're moving right along on that project. That's all I have for this evening. Any other questions or items you may have?
Are there any other questions?
No, I think I'm good. I'll probably wait a couple months to find out how things go with
The master plan?
the new station out by Claire.
Oh, substation 4?
Yeah. But, I mean, we can wait a couple months, because I know last time we talked and stuff, where it was.
So we finally, City Council approved the final design, specifications, bid review, and construction supervision with Olson.
And do we have a date on when that's supposed to start?
So the transformers lead time is 2 years.
3 years, okay.
The circuit breakers are 3 years. So we can start the construction with the main structure, put the grid within by 2025 and 2027. But the equipment will be 2027.
That's all I have.
Is there any other business? Anyone have? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Waller, seconded by Commissioner Plan to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.